It's 3 a.m. You're standing in the dark nursery for the fourth time tonight, rocking a screaming baby who was supposed to be sleep-trained 3 weeks ago. You followed the method exactly. You read the books. You stuck to the schedule. But somehow, it got worse, not better. What if I told you that the sleep training method you chose, the one that's supposed to work for all babies, might actually be wiring your child's brain for anxiety? That some of the most popular sleep approaches recommended by well-meaning experts are creating long-term sleep problems instead of solving them? In this video, I'm going to reveal 7 dangerous sleep training mistakes most parents make, expose the truth about methods like cry it out, and show you what actually works based on neuroscience and cultural wisdom from around the world. By the end, you'll understand your baby's sleep biology better than most pediatricians, and you'll know exactly which approach is right for your family. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share may completely change how you approach your baby's sleep and your own sanity. The science of infant sleep is fascinating and way more complex than the baby sleep industry wants you to know. Research from institutions like Stanford's Sleep Lab and Harvard's Center on the Developing Child has revolutionized what we understand about baby sleep patterns, brain development, and emotional regulation. Before we dive deep, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss life-changing parenting insights. If you're a parent who's exhausted, confused about sleep training, or worried you're doing it wrong, this video is for you. Let me be honest with you. I know you're running on 3 hours of broken sleep. I know you've tried everything, the books, the apps, the advice from your mother-in-law who swears her babies slept through the night at 6 weeks. I know you're questioning whether you're somehow failing at this basic parenting task. Here's what nobody tells you. The baby sleep industry is a multi-billion-dollar business built on making you feel like your baby's natural biology is a problem that needs fixing. They sell you rigid schedules, expensive monitors, and one-size-fits-all methods while ignoring the most important factor: your individual baby's neurobiology. And here's the scary part. Some popular sleep training methods can actually increase cortisol levels in babies, affecting brain development in areas responsible for emotional regulation, stress response, and future mental health. When we get sleep training wrong, we're not just dealing with a few rough nights. We might be impacting how our children handle stress for years to come. But here's the good news. Once you understand how baby sleep actually works, the biology, the developmental stages, the cultural approaches that have worked for millennia, you can make informed choices that work for your family without guilt, without rigid rules, and definitely without letting your baby cry alone in the dark, wondering where you went. Picture this. You've read Dr. Ferber's book cover to cover. Tonight's the night. You put your 8-month-old in the crib, kiss them goodnight, and walk out. The crying starts immediately. You check the clock. 5 minutes of crying feels like 50. You go in, pat their back without picking them up, and leave again. The screaming intensifies. 10 minutes this time. You're standing outside the door, tears streaming down your face, while your baby's cries escalate to something you've never heard before. Here's what's really happening. The Ferber method, also called progressive waiting or graduated extinction, is based on behavioral conditioning. The idea is that babies learn to self-soothe when parents gradually increase time intervals between check-ins. And for some babies, particularly older, temperamentally easy babies, it can work within a few nights. But here's the truth that Dr. Ferber himself has tried to clarify. This method was never intended as a universal solution, and it can seriously backfire for certain babies. Research shows that for high-needs babies, those with anxious temperaments, or babies under 6 months, extended crying triggers a stress response that floods their tiny bodies with cortisol. When this happens repeatedly, it doesn't teach self-soothing. It teaches that the world is unpredictable and that calling for help is pointless. Studies from attachment researchers show that babies whose cries are consistently unresponded to may eventually stop crying. But it's not because they've learned to self-soothe. It's because they've learned that no one's coming. That's called learned helplessness, not independent sleep. Instead, if you want to use a graduated approach, consider the gentler camping out method. You stay in the room but gradually move closer to the door over several nights. Your presence provides security while still encouraging independence. Or try the pick up, put down method where you respond immediately to crying, comfort briefly, then put baby back down. It takes longer, but it preserves the attachment bond while teaching sleep skills. The key is this: extinction methods only work if your baby is developmentally ready, temperamentally suited, and you can handle the emotional toll. If your gut screams that this is wrong, trust it. Imagine your 3-month-old was finally sleeping 5-hour stretches. You were starting to feel human again. Then, like clockwork, at 4 months, everything implodes. Suddenly they're waking every hour, fighting naps, and acting like they've never slept before. You panic. You Google 4-month sleep regression. Every article tells you it's time to sleep train now before bad habits form. So you implement a rigid schedule, cry it out, and wonder why it's not working. Here's where most parents get it wrong. The 4-month regression isn't actually a regression. It's a massive developmental leap. Your baby's sleep cycles are maturing from newborn patterns to adult-like patterns. They're moving through more distinct sleep stages: light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep. Every time they transition between stages, they partially wake. Adults do this too. We just roll over and go back to sleep. Babies don't have that skill yet. What's really happening neurologically is extraordinary. Your baby's brain is reorganizing, forming new neural pathways. They're often working on new skills, rolling over, grasping objects, babbling. Their brain is so active that sleep becomes lighter and more easily disrupted. Here's the crucial part. This is not the time to implement strict sleep training. Their nervous system is in upheaval. Adding stress through cry-it-out methods during this window can actually make things worse and last longer. Instead, lean into this phase. Offer extra comfort. Keep routines consistent but flexible. Use white noise to help transition between sleep cycles. Consider more contact naps temporarily if it means everyone gets rest. Within a few weeks, as their brain integrates these new skills, sleep typically improves naturally. The pattern repeats at 8 months, 18 months, and 2 years, always linked to developmental leaps. When you understand that sleep regressions are actually progressions, you stop seeing them as problems to fix and start seeing them as temporary phases to support. Your baby will only sleep when touching you. Every time you try to transfer them to the crib, their eyes pop open like they have a sixth sense. You're exhausted. Your partner says you're creating bad habits. Your pediatrician warns about safety risks. But you're getting 3 more hours of sleep per night by bed sharing, and honestly, it feels right. Here's where Western parenting culture has created unnecessary guilt and confusion. The American Academy of Pediatrics says never co-sleep. The World Health Organization says exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months. But guess what? You can't exclusively breastfeed without some form of co-sleeping for most mothers, and every other culture in human history has practiced some version of family sleep. The truth is more nuanced. Unsafe co-sleeping, on couches, with impaired parents, with pillows and blankets, with young babies and non-breastfeeding parents, is dangerous. But safe co-sleeping, following the Safe Sleep 7 protocols, can actually support breastfeeding, improve infant sleep, and enhance maternal rest. Japanese families practice co-sleeping for years with some of the lowest SIDS rates in the world. Scandinavian countries promote sidecar cribs. The key is informed choice, not fear-based rules. Here's what to consider. If you're bed sharing, follow safety rules religiously. Firm mattress, no gaps, no impairment, no smoking, breastfeeding mother, baby on back. If you can't meet these criteria, use a bedside bassinet or sidecar crib for proximity without bed sharing. And here's what nobody tells you. You can transition later. Co-sleeping doesn't doom your child to your bed forever. Around 18 months to 3 years, most families naturally transition to independent sleep as toddlers become more autonomous. The solution isn't co-sleeping or crib, it's whatever configuration allows your family to sleep safely while preserving attachment and everyone's mental health. Stop letting anyone make you feel guilty for meeting your baby's biological need for closeness. It's 11:47 a.m. Your baby is rubbing their eyes and yawning, but their scheduled nap time isn't until 12:15. You distract them, keep them awake, because the schedule says 12:15. By the time you put them down, they're overtired and fight sleep for 45 minutes. The nap is short and terrible. Your whole afternoon is ruined. This is the trap of rigid schedules. Parents read that babies thrive on routine, so they implement wake windows and nap schedules down to the minute. But here's what those books don't tell you. There's a massive difference between rhythm and rigidity. Yes, babies do need predictability. Their nervous systems regulate better with consistent patterns. But trying to force clock time schedules on a 6-month-old whose biological rhythms are still developing is like trying to make a cat bark. It's fighting biology. Here's what research shows. Babies have natural sleep pressure that builds through the day. When you watch for sleepy cues and respond, sleep comes easier. When you ignore cues to stick to a schedule, you create overtired babies. And overtired babies fight sleep harder, sleep lighter, and wake more at night. Cultural approaches offer wisdom here. In many European countries, parents use rhythm, not schedules. They watch for cues, create consistent bedtime routines, but stay flexible on exact timing. The baby learns to trust their body's signals rather than external clock demands. Instead of strict schedules, try rhythmic flexibility. Establish a predictable sequence: wake, feed, play, sleep. But let timing follow your baby's cues within reasonable windows. Keep bedtime routine consistent. Bath, book, lullaby, but don't stress if it starts at 7 instead of 6:45. Think of it this way. You want your baby to learn to read their own body's sleepy signals, not to sleep because a clock says so. That internal awareness is what creates genuinely good sleepers long-term. It's 1 a.m. Your toddler is sitting up in bed, eyes wide open, screaming inconsolably. You try to comfort them, but they push you away, thrashing and appearing terrified. You're confused, scared, and wondering if something is seriously wrong. Most parents don't know the difference between night terrors and nightmares, and that confusion leads to responses that actually prolong episodes. Here's the science. Nightmares happen during REM sleep, dream sleep, usually in the second half of the night. Your child wakes up, is genuinely scared, recognizes you, and wants comfort. They remember the bad dream the next morning. Nightmares are part of normal development and respond well to cuddles and reassurance. Night terrors are completely different. They happen during deep non-REM sleep, usually 1 to 3 hours after falling asleep. Your child appears awake but isn't conscious. They scream, thrash, might have open eyes, but they're not actually awake, and they won't respond to you. Here's the crucial part. They're not in distress. Their brain is in a partial arousal state, stuck between sleep stages. The biggest mistake parents make is trying to wake the child during a night terror. This actually makes it worse and prolongs the episode. Your child isn't scared. Their brain is just misfiring as it transitions sleep stages. Instead, for night terrors, do nothing. Stay nearby for safety, keep the room dark and quiet. Don't try to wake or comfort them. Within 5 to 15 minutes, they'll settle back into deep sleep and have zero memory of it the next day. For nightmares, provide immediate comfort. Talk about the dream if they want. Offer water, keep lights low, and help them feel safe. Here's why this matters long-term. Night terrors are more common when kids are overtired or have inconsistent sleep schedules. They usually fade by age 8 to 10, but if you start creating elaborate wake-up or comfort routines during night terrors, you can accidentally condition your child to have more arousals. Understanding the difference transforms these scary moments from crises into manageable developmental phases. Your baby's eyes pop open at 4:53 a.m. every single day. You've tried earlier bedtime, later bedtime, blackout curtains, nothing works. You're convinced you just have an early riser and resign yourself to years of pre-dawn wake-ups. But here's what most parents don't realize. True early waking, before 6 a.m., is almost always fixable, and it's usually caused by one of three things: too much daytime sleep, too early bedtime, or circadian rhythm confusion. Let me explain the biology. Humans have a natural cortisol awakening response. Around 6 to 7 a.m., our bodies produce a surge of cortisol to wake us up. But when babies go to bed too early, especially if they're getting plenty of daytime sleep, they've completed their sleep cycles by 5 a.m., and that early cortisol surge wakes them fully. Here's the counterintuitive fix. Often, you need to shift bedtime later, not earlier, and cap daytime sleep. I know this sounds backwards because you're exhausted, but when babies go to bed at 6 p.m., they're often waking at 4 a.m. having gotten a full night's sleep from their body's perspective. Try shifting bedtime gradually later, 15 minutes every few days until you reach 7 to 7:30 p.m. Make sure morning light exposure happens after 6:30 a.m. to reinforce the circadian rhythm. Keep the room absolutely dark until desired wake time. Use white noise to prevent early morning sounds from rousing them. And here's the game changer that Japanese families have known forever: the scheduled awakening technique. If your baby consistently wakes at 5 a.m., set an alarm for 4:45 a.m. Gently rouse them just slightly, enough to break the sleep cycle, then let them fall back into deeper sleep. This interrupts the pattern of full awakening. Do this for a week, then gradually push that scheduled rouse later. Within 2 to 3 weeks, most early risers shift to 6:30 to 7 a.m. wake times. You're not creating a bad sleeper. You're just recalibrating their biological clock. You've spent hundreds on blackout curtains, white noise machines, temperature monitors, sleep sacks in every TOG rating. The nursery is a sleep sanctuary. Perfectly dark, exactly 68 degrees, acoustically optimized, but your baby still won't sleep. Here's the truth that the baby product industry doesn't want you to know. Environment matters, but it's not the foundation. The foundation is biology, attachment, and developmental readiness. You can't engineer sleep with products alone. That said, there are evidence-based environmental factors that genuinely help. Temperature between 68 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit supports melatonin production. Complete darkness helps establish circadian rhythms, though tiny babies under 3 months don't need it. White noise can mask household sounds and mimic the womb environment. But here's where parents go wrong. They obsess over environment while ignoring the basics. Is the baby overtired? Undertired? Are wake windows appropriate? Is the bedtime routine consistent and calming? Is there a strong attachment base of trust? Think of it this way. Environment is the icing, not the cake. If the cake isn't baked, if sleep pressure, routine, and emotional security aren't there, no amount of icing fixes it. Instead of buying more products, focus on these environmental essentials. Room darkening shades, not necessarily blackout. Consistent white noise, comfortable room temperature, a safe sleep surface. That's it. Then put your energy into the biological and emotional foundations. Age-appropriate wake windows, consistent soothing routines, responsive but not frantic overnight responses. The perfect sleep environment is one where your baby feels safe, comfortable, and loved. Products can't buy that. Here's what matters most. Your baby's sleep challenges are not your failure. They're your baby's biology meeting the developmental stage they're in, combined with their unique temperament and your family's needs. There is no one right method. The Ferber approach works brilliantly for some families. Gentle methods work for others. Some cultures co-sleep until age 5 with no issues. Some babies sleep independently from 3 months. What matters is alignment, choosing approaches that match your baby's temperament, your family's values, and the developmental stage you're in. The parents who struggle most are those trying to force methods that contradict all three. You don't need to be perfect, you need to be tuned in, consistent, and willing to adapt as your baby grows. Sleep training isn't something you do once, it's an evolving dance with your child's changing biology. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 7 mistakes resonated most with your experience? Are you currently stuck in early wakings, co-sleeping confusion, or 4-month regression chaos? Or have you discovered a method that worked beautifully for your family? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might be exactly what another exhausted parent needs to hear tonight. We're all in this together. So here's what you've just discovered. Sleep training isn't about choosing team Ferber versus team attachment parenting. It's about understanding infant sleep biology, recognizing developmental stages, respecting your baby's temperament, and choosing methods that create security rather than stress. You now know that 4-month regressions are progressions, that co-sleeping can be safe when done right, that rigid schedules fight biology, that night terrors aren't nightmares, that early waking is fixable, and that products don't create good sleepers. Responsive, informed parenting does. This isn't about guilt. This is about power. You now have the knowledge to make informed decisions rather than blindly following one-size-fits-all advice. You can parent your unique child with confidence, knowing you're building long-term sleep health and emotional security. Starting tonight, you get to choose differently. If this video helped you, even with just one insight that made you think differently about your baby's sleep, please hit that like button, subscribe for more science-based parenting content that actually respects both research and real family life. Share this with other sleep-deprived parents in your life. They'll thank you. Drop a comment below about which method you're trying or which mistake you've been making. Let's support each other through these exhausting early years. Remember, this video is for educational purposes only and does not replace personalized medical advice from your pediatrician. Every baby is different, and if you have specific concerns about your child's sleep, always consult your healthcare provider. May your baby sleep peacefully, wake gently, and give you the rest you desperately need. You've got this, tired parent, one night at a time. See you in the next video.